Only a week ago, Hamburg was covered in rain, and just 7 days later, Aachen enjoyed nothing but sunshine. It was an interesting course, and Aachen delivered also an outspoken favorite for the World Championships and even a live contender for the Grand Slam of show jumping. Lots to discuss and everything to talk about with the guests, but first, the quick strides. Spain has won the Nations Cup of Lisbon, the first time the historic event returns to the international calendar after 3 years away. This was the 101st edition of TSCHIO Lisbon at the Sociedade Hípica Portuguesa. 10 nations took the start. Spain and South Africa both finished the 2 rounds on 4 penalties and went to a jump-off. François Maty Jr., the chef d'équipe of Spain, sent in Jesus Garmendia with the Carmel Blue PS, and the Basque Rider closed the deal with a clay round to take the win. France finished 3rd on 8 penalties, and for Spain, this is now their 14th Lisbon Nations Cup victory. Denmark has won the EEF Nations Cup at home in Martofte for the 2nd year in a row. At TSCHIO Aachen, the hosts finished the 2 rounds on just 1 time penalty, the only penalty they picked up all day. Sweden took 2nd on 4 penalties with a double clear from our teammate Jonna Ekberg, and Belgium took 3rd on 9 penalties. There is a pattern this season. Germany won at home in Mannheim, Belgium won at home in Lier. Italy, however, they were the only hosts to let the win get away, finishing 2nd behind Ireland in Betizzole. And now Denmark adds another home victory at TSCHIO Aachen. 3 home wins out of 4 legs in the Longines EEF series so far. Next up on the calendar, Deauville in France and Thessaloniki in Greece in early June. 2 familiar names came back this week. In France, Marlon Modolo Zanotelli brought Ilex back into the ring nearly a year after taking over from McLean Ward, the same Ilex who jumped to Team Silver in Paris for the United States, now in their Brazilian colors. Across the border in the Netherlands, Emmanuele Camille brought back Odense Odeveld to competition in a 2-star show at the Peelbergen Equestrian Center 3 months after his last appearance. 2 Olympic horses, 2 comebacks in 1 week. And there is sad news from France this week. Pénélope Leprévost has announced the sudden death of Baloubet de Talma, her 15-year-old gelding. The horse died after an accident in the paddock at home. With Leprévost, Baloubet de Talma had built a strong winter, finishing 7th in the Lyon World Cup and 5th in London. The pair had been together since early 2025. On social media, Leprévost called him the horse with a fire in the ring and a soft heart at home. There is an update on the Alessandra Reich case in Austria. The Austrian Federation, the OEPS, has lifted the provisional suspension imposed in April after a video from the Sunshine Tour appeared to show her hitting a horse on the head and the neck. The Federation has been clear about what this decision means and what it does not mean. The lifting is procedural, not a verdict on the facts. The appeal committee found the formal conditions for an immediate ban had not been met. For now, Reich can return to competition under her Austrian license, but the German Federation has kept its own suspension in place, which means the German shows remain closed to Reich. A full disciplinary procedure will follow in Austria. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Horse Show, just days after a beautiful event in beautiful Aachen. And for such a beautiful episode, I need beautiful people, and I found one. Welcome to the Horse Show, Cameron Hanley.
Thank you very much, Frederik. Thank you.
I knew that was coming as soon as you said it.
And welcome to the Horse Show, Joe Lee.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Joe, normally I have a very formal, beautiful introduction. How would you introduce Cameron Hanley?
How would I introduce Cameron? One of the best riders ever lived. Legend of the sport. Slightly handicapped. Wouldn't pass a vet check.
That's the common denominator in the panel on the horse show.
It seems like that's the only type of people you can get on the show.
Let's not discuss his knee. What made him such a good rider? Why was he so good?
Horseman, balance, feeling, the whole works. It made everything look easy. That was what made. Feels weird saying it where you're here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're making me blush a little bit.
If those
I was
were
always
your
jealous.
qualities, what were your weaknesses?
I don't know. I
That's an even better answer.
I was better with people than I was with, or better with horses than I was with people. I love being around the horses and everything like that. But then sometimes I'm not always the best people person, I guess. So
I can understand that. I can relate to that.
That's a really good answer.
Yeah. But I know I was always jealous of. Oh, jealous. That's a stupid way to say it. But I always admired how easy you made everything look. Yeah.
I was lucky. I got to ride a lot of really good horses over the years, and they taught me so much riding different types of horses and different things. So it was about listening to the horse and trying to understand what each one needed.
Straight away, I'm thinking about Livello. I'm thinking of Southwind. What was maybe that's not the horse for you. What's the horse for you from your career?
They were fantastic horses, brilliant horses. Quirex was another great horse that I had, and Caratina. I didn't get to ride her to the very highest level. I did her first 5-star Grand Prix in Helsinki, and then she got taken away from me then afterwards. But she was an exceptional talent. But going back even further, maybe it wasn't the most talented horse, but like in 2006 in the World Games, I rode a horse called Hippika Karaman, and he gave me my first championship experience and did my first Aga Khan in Dublin with him. So I mean, all of them played a part in the career, and all of them hold a special place in my heart.
When you say Caratina, is it Caratina de Joter that went to a Twinatop,
for example? Exactly.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Also to the Olympics, I think, no?
No, just before she didn't. She was looking like she was going to go, but she didn't end up going.
Okay.
But she was a special talent.
And she went with Lintea, that's correct, yeah. And talking about Quirex, we've got some images of Quirex and Cameron Hanley in Aachen. This is 2011, I think. No, sorry, 2019.
Yeah, 18 or 19, yeah, it would have been, yeah. He was an incredible horse. He was very athletic. He very scopy, an unusual technique, a little bit long front end, but you could still come very close to the fences, and he was incredible use of his body and scope and heart. Wouldn't be maybe the horse you'd pick out as a young one, but when you're sitting on top of him, the feeling was incredible. Also with Michael Duffy afterwards, he had a long-term injury, he was off for a couple of years and then came back with Michael and was really, really good as well.
Yeah.
So what year did you have your injury then?
2011.
So that was with your...
No, that was after with my knee.
Yeah, so you were still... better than me with your bad knee.
So I came back. I got injured in 2011. I missed 2 years almost, and got back with Antello, who was probably not the most talented one, but that was my horse. That was my special one. And like shortly after I came back with him, he won a 5-star Grand Prix in Wiesbaden, and he went to the World Games as well, European Championships as well. So he was
that was a cool partnership, actually, wasn't it?
Cool.
I even feel bad that I didn't mention Antello in that group. It was a really good horse.
It's okay.
Aachen is what we're talking about. We just saw Cameron in Aachen with Quirex. It was Aachen weekend. It was a little bit of a special edition. It was not the real CHIO. There was no Nations Cup. There were no night classes. However, Sunday did deliver, Joe.
Yeah, it was, for me, one of the best Grand Prix I've seen there, actually, course building wise, rider wise, horse wise. I mean, so much talent in that Grand Prix. I thought that was one of the best I've seen.
Incredible. It was a fantastic display of horsemanship, horsepower, everything. Course building was brilliant. It was exciting. 3 in the jump off after 2 very difficult rounds. I thought it was...
horsepower, rider power, 19 of the top 20. And maybe from those 19 you could pick 2, 3 that didn't have their best horse, the horse there. But all the others with their number 1 horses. Grea, Hermitage, United Touch, just go through the ranks. All the top horses there.
Yeah,
wow.
I mean, I don't know if I'm right, but it seems like now we live in a time with more superstar horses and superstar riders than ever before. You know, it's
there are a couple of really outstanding stars, that are there, but Yeah, well, like Aachen is where everybody wants to be, isn't it? Especially with the World Championships being there at the end of this year. I think it was a great dress rehearsal for a lot of people to go there and see how their horses are and things that maybe they need to work on before August.
Yeah. Frank Rothenberger built last year, of course, always in Aachen. Last year, he got a lot of stick, to say it like that, about what he built from riders, also from press. How do the both of you judge what he built this week, and how does it compare to what he built in the past?
Well, I thought the course was great. There was a lot of different times, different things were happening. There was a lot of faults on the double ditches early on in the class, but later on, everything started to fall. There was problems everywhere. There was nothing you could take for granted. There was nothing unjumpable. Everything seemed fair, but a lot of decisions to be made. And I think it was a real test of partnerships. That was the biggest thing for me to watch, to see the understanding between the horse and the rider. And that's what we're looking for in the sport, isn't it? To try to expose the best partnership.
And I think for me, the difference this year, normally Aachen's known for its brute power and big oxes and brute scope, and I think he's built more modern. You know, a little bit more technical, a little bit more looking for faults without looking for the big power faults, you know. He's looked for more fragile jumping, more delicate jumping. I think that was, for me, a little bit the difference.
To give you some context on that, we've, over the last few weeks, we've discussed a lot of Grand Prix with 17 faults in the triple combination, or at one part of a triple combination, or 12 on one specific fence. The most taken down fence was in the first round, and that was only taken down 6 times by 40 riders. Of course, you've got the world's best, but you have to challenge them. And you could challenge them by putting up something really difficult.
What fence was that?
It was coming into the double of ditches and coming into the double of verticals.
Okay.
6 times.
Yeah, interesting.
Double of verticals.
Yeah.
And that whole line, that whole final line, you two have been talking about it all night, I would even say. Take us through it. What was built, Joe and Cameron? What was it measuring? Where did it sit?
The whole course, or were we just going to go on the last line?
Just the
last
final line.
Okay, so the last line, you turned, after you jumped your double of ditches, you turned left-handed back on a red oxer. It was big oxer. You can see the dimensions here is 155 high, 170 wide, but in Aachen it's slight uphill gradient. So you turn back on that, very big, very wide, and the poles are short poles, or just 3-meter poles. So it was very impressive when you.
And that oxer's jumping uphill.
Uphill.
Yeah,
slightly
in that direction.
Uphill, yeah.
The whole line's jumping uphill. Yeah.
So then walking the distance, it walked a little bit of flat 6 strides, we'll say, like, you know, you just kind of rode that it walked like you're going to have to ride the whole way there, committed on the 6. Not that it was long, but you just was open all of the way. So in the class, a lot of riders chose to do the 7 because as you're coming out of the corner, jumping that red ox, horses are landing a little bit short, and there was a slight bend on it. So it could, you know, you could go a little bit out to the left to give yourself a little bit more room. But then doing that on the 7, the challenge was you go into maybe a little bit closer, like the 2 verticals were 163, 163. So 2 very tall verticals, and you know, doing the extra stride, good chance you're going to be a little bit deep coming in.
And it looked quite short in the middle as well to do the 6.
Yeah, 8 meters 30, and it walked it also quite short. It felt like it was short. Like so, there was people that did both, but I'd say at the beginning most of the riders were thinking with the 6, but then you had Steve going first, and he executed the 7 so well. A lot of people would have seen that and said, okay, that's the way I'd like to do that.
That's what surprised me. In the course walk, a lot of riders spoke about 6 and even completely discarded the option of 7.
Yeah. Steve
went in, did 7. Gilles Thomas was next, did 6. Maybe he didn't even see what Steve did or whatever. He had to stick to his plan. We'll play out a few clips. Here's first Gilles Thomas, then Christian Koekkoek. But it's remarkable how at first everybody said this is going to be 6, and then 80% wrote 7. This is 6.
Okay, also very big stride. You know, and it's those single coloured poles, very difficult to jump anyway, if it's off the 6 or 7. And I think
it's just Koekkoek.
Also, the oxer before, I think it rode bigger than it was, you know?
Yeah, and like that, the uphill thing was a little, and turning back on a corner. It's not like you had an open run to it, that you had a lot of choice on your approach to it, that you could say, oh, I'm really going to ride forward here. You came around the corner and you had to kind of take what was there.
Kind of also jumping that double of, you needed a lot of power to jump the double of waters.
Yeah.
You know, and then you kind of have to gather them up again. And that oxer came really quickly out of the turn, didn't it?
Another thing is, as well, when you're coming up that line, if you want to bend it out to the left to give yourself a little bit more room, you had the lake on the left. So a lot of the horses didn't really want to go over there. So you might have been planning to go more left, but then the horses shy a little bit away from the lake as well. So that brings you a little bit on the inside line, which is another added challenge, which is, again, the skill of the course builder, like putting those little things in that we don't always see.
We didn't see it because you and I, we were on site, both of us.
Yeah.
Joe, you watched it on TV, and you said how many horses had a rub on the back rail of that oxer?
Yeah, I think it was quite a wide oxer anyway, going up the hill, and it was narrow poles, right?
Yeah, narrow poles.
That just makes it so difficult to jump. And certainly it came out of a little bit of blind turn next to the water, like you said. I think that's something you have to train, jumping fences next to the water before you go to Aachen, because you know the course builder's going to use that.
Yeah.
Every year it's the same. Every year the double of ditches is there. Every year they build something to use that against the riders, you know?
You said a lot of knocks on the back rail.
Yeah.
It only fell twice. Let's bring up those riders where that red oxer fell. It's Kevin Stout. By the way, this is Féline Deus, a granddaughter of Sylvana Deus, who was second in that same Grand Prix in 2011.
Jumped a very good round.
You see how short it is out of the corner? He basically had 2 strides straight at the end to try and get up for it.
And this is Cian O'Connor.
Just looked like it surprised him a little bit out of the corner, didn't it? It didn't really get there.
Exactly. Like, I think going around the end of the lake there, the horse didn't really put his eye on the fence coming around the corner, wasn't sure where he was going, and Cian said, oh, we're going there, but the horse is like, where are we going, where are we going? So that was all, but I think they'll benefit a lot from having jumped there yesterday. It's a relatively new horse for Cian as well, so having the opportunity to get in there and get around that.
And both those horses and riders were clear up until that point.
Yeah.
In Stout. Others that were clear, just continuing with that line from the oxer to double verticals and the next oxer, Christian Aalman and Luciana Diniz, both with heartbreak in the approach to the final fence.
I think Christian did this really well for his horse, you know, really set him back here to jump the double of verticals.
Beautiful.
I think he nearly jumped back a little bit too much, and Christian, you can see he planned to do the outside. And like you said earlier, I think nearly ended up outside and had to go a little bit too much in the end.
Yeah, he rode beautifully the line, just like that. The horse went slightly on the outside and maybe got a little bit away from him at the end. And the last stride, he was still having to push to get there on the last stride. Like, as soon as he left the double, he pushed him away and got on it quickly.
I think, from what I saw earlier, I think
She's actually on a straighter line than Aalman doing the 7.
She rode it very
a
well.
little bit unlucky. I mean, that's...
I think she's slightly, before she's looking a little to the left there, just at the end, as the horse is taking off, a little bit looking to the left, rode it a little bit like it's the last fence.
Yeah, we might say that a few times more in this episode. Was it a 6 or was it a 7? 7 to the last, sorry.
Depends on what you're riding, really. Like, you know, it would a short 7, and I think especially coming out of the double of verticals that backs you up, the horses come out a little bit dead, so I walk like that. But again, the horses cover an amazing amount of ground in that arena, so the 6 was fully committed. Not many did it. You know, it's like the dimensions of the last fence, 155 by 180. So up the hill into the corner a little bit. It got, you know, it was a very, very committed 6.
It was the exceptional big strides that did it.
Greve with Grandorado, Aalman with Untouched, and maybe 1 or 2 more.
Richie Vogel and
Richie
as well. Yeah.
Richie made it look quite short, actually.
A few weeks ago, we had an episode and Jeroen Dubbeldam came on. And this is what Jeroen Dubbeldam said.
So you got to be very careful with going to Aachen. Going to Aachen can bring you a very good experience, but it can also bring you not such a good experience if you're not ready for it with your horse.
This was a conversation that we had with him about planning, going to Aachen, going to a championship. We asked him, is it not very interesting to go to Aachen so you can train, you can get ready for the big championship? And he said it can also deliver you a bad experience. There were some very good performances, but there were also a few riders that maybe were surprised by the behavior of their own horse. I'm thinking of Simon Lestre and Katharina Romberg. The Lestre with Golden Boy DK, really up-and-coming combination. I think jumped really well in Mexico. Romberg in very good form with Kuma. This is, of course, a young horse. This is a 10-year-old, only jumping meter 60s since September of last year. Struggled there in double of ditches. This is a 14-year-old that jumped 2 Europeans, jumped Spruce, jumped Dublin, jumped the World Championships, however, never jumped in Aachen before. All the experience in the world, Cameron.
Yeah.
What's the plan now for Katharina Romberg?
Yeah, I think she'll just have to go home and train that. It's something that's trainable. You know, you'll have to build something similar at home or go to a centre where they have something similar and just back to the drawing board. And you know, the horse very good, was jumping very well, but it's just something you have to work on.
And I think also the positioning of that fence. Some of the horses didn't lock on that quick, did they?
Yeah.
They jumped that big oxer out the corner, falling a little bit away from the water again, the course builder using the water, and then seeing it the last minute.
Yeah.
So I do think it had a problem with it, but it's more of a
So what do you train?
instant shock.
Do you train double of ditches, or do you have to go and look for a lake and jump double of ditches next to a lake? How do you
do bit by bit? So you'd start with maybe just a single ditch, jump that, get confidence going, get the horse happy, build a double of ditches, always in a way that it's going to be an education for the horse and something comfortable. And then you can start introducing, you can get plastic and things like that, put it beside, create a similar environment, and then maybe you do it in a different place. Probably just do it in your sand ring first of all, create a good atmosphere, everything nice and easy, the horse is comfortable with, then you maybe move it to a grass ring, go somewhere else, and little by little.
I think there are a lot of people that build that sort of thing. The people that regularly go to Aachen, they build that at home, you know, with the lake and the ditches next to it, just to practice it, because it is something that's special to that place.
Definitely, yeah.
Anything else that stood out for you two in round one of the Grand Prix in Aachen?
I think just the course building, how
thought
different it was from the other years.
Actually, the line to the water and the wall after it was quite interesting. There was a very tall vertical 163 going away from the in gate, leading up to the water jump. You want to show that there, Joe? So number 7, and then it was quite a dead 6 strides. We'll say dead meaning it was very regular 6 strides to the water. So
and then this was the wall down here, yeah.
And then there was a short 5 to the wall after. So what was really important when you jump number 7, that tall vertical, is to get your horse back nice and early, get them to wait so you're able to put a little bit of press on the end of the 6 strides to the water. A couple of riders at the end didn't get that, didn't execute it like maybe they would have wanted to, and they got a little quiet to the water, a little dead, and they weren't able to press at the end. Horses went very high and just stepped on the tape. So there was a few falls at the water at the end of the course. And then the 5 strides was very deep or very short to the wall afterwards. And I don't think there was any faults on the wall, but it really messed with your rhythm. If you didn't get that 5 early and you ended up getting a little bit deep on the wall, it broke your rhythm, because again, the next fence afterwards was quite big oxer down the hill. So that was a bit, clever course building, again, breaking your rhythm, and really took a lot of focus on knowing your horse and your horse's stride.
That was the line. Because it was a 6 and a 5.
Yeah.
Everybody except
Richie Vogel. Yeah, that was really impressed me actually. He did 5 and I thought, okay, now he's going to do the 4. And I had to re-watch it a few times because it made it look so easy.
So good. Yeah.
He pushed up on the 5 and then was still able to get the 5 afterwards quite easily.
Yeah.
You know?
As he was doing it, I thought that he was going to go on 5 and then 4 strides.
Yeah.
Like you said, he did it so well. But there, he got a little bit deep. And what he did really well there was he came a little close, stayed quiet, trusted his horse to jump, didn't force it. Said, okay, I'm going to be a little bit deep. United Touch, it's over to you now. You better take care of this one. And then they went on from there. It was class.
Yeah, was class.
Impressive. Let's have a look at the riders that progressed into the second round. It was a 2-round competition with jump-off in Aachen, as it always is. The best performance from the first round, the fastest clear from José María Larocca, then Doyce Fuchs on Connerjay, then Nina Malvet again in the mix there in Aachen, as she was last year. Lily Keenan with Faster, Farrington with Greya, United Touch with Vogel, Greve with Grandorado, Hinners with Sinclair, Laura Kraut with Bisquetta, and Van Eckerman with Kazira, Derek Kenny with Eddie Blue, Daniel Cole with Gisborne, Dit is Gerda Meer Team Sweden. I'm laughing as I'm reading through that list, just because of the names of riders and horses.
Yeah, it's just like a who's who of show jumping.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, no?
It's fantastic.
Yeah. And there's a great mix of riders on 4 penalties, Derek Kenny on a time penalty, and a group on clear. Joe, you saw a distinction between how those 2 groups of riders that sat on 2 different scenarios and penalties rode that second round.
Yeah, definitely. For me, the 4 falters came in kind of with the pressure off. I know there's still pressure on, but they rode it like a speed class. You know, they rode it like they had to put pressure on the riders that were coming. And then you had the riders that were clear, came in, trying to be more careful, trying to keep a clear scorecard, and you could really see the difference then in the pressure they had on themselves. Definitely.
The challenge with this class is the time, it's your score over the first round and the second round, so aggregate score, but it's your time from the second round that counts for your placing. So if you have a fence down, that's what Joe is saying, that's why they went forward, that's why they attacked, because they knew. So if you're clear in the first round, you're not really going to ride for the time in the second round. It's all about jumping a clear round again. But then if you nick a fence, the 4 falters who rode forward in the second round, they're going to end up ahead of you. So it's a challenging class in that respect.
What would you do? Just if you were going in there with a clear scorecard, would you go in and attack it? Because I mean, it's Aachen. There's a chance you're going to have one down. They're big jumps.
There is, but you always have to be thinking you're going to jump a clear round, you know, you have to go in and try to be clear, and that's it. And
I suppose if you're at that standard, being there anyway, there's a big chance
you've already jumped one clear round. So I mean, I think you have to aim. It's a long way around. There was again triple combination, double, and 12 jumps in the second round. So it's a big commitment to start at number 1 already galloping, like, you know. So.
But the course builder did build the course where you could keep travelling forward. You know, again, I think he did a great job. He built a really following, really travelling course.
Worked with the horses, with the riders, it made for a great spectacle.
Yeah, I have to say, when I walked that first line, which was actually in the opposite direction of the last line in the first round, only 2 riders did it, but it actually walked 6 and 5 down the hill, miles away. In the end, most did 7, but then the 5 again got even longer. You have to be very, very active already in the first part.
Yeah, and there was another line, the second last line there, Joe. That one, the vertical to the Oxer.
This line here.
Yes, exactly. So that was a little quiet on 5, but they were all doing 4. They came around the corner, big jump on, and just kept going.
But that's down the hill, right?
I think that's relatively level.
Yeah, it was across the arena. Yeah,
it's incredible how the slope of the ring really, and Aachen anyway, you always seem to carry a little bit more pace. The ground's so good, you get a little bit more stride, and the slope of the arena really plays a difference, you know.
Question for you, Frederik. Maybe you know this. Just looking at the results, there's 18 riders back for the second round, like every year in Aachen. But this year I just saw that the prize money only went to the first 13. So there was 5 riders who rode the second round that didn't get any prize money. Do you know why that happened?
That's a really good question. In a regular Grand Prix, it's normally 12 or 13.
Exactly, yeah. 13.
But I do remember that last year, and I think all years, it was the top 18.
Yeah. I think this is the first year it's been like this. So it was just...
So like Dara and Daniel got no money in the end?
Exactly. So Dara Kenny jumped for a time fall, basically a clear round in the first round, fantastic round. Had the last fence down in the second round, ended up 14th, didn't get any prize money.
Wow.
Yeah, it was tough. I thought it was tough because in other years, once you get into the second round, everyone got paid, but this year not. So I just thought it was a bit unusual.
Oh yeah, that is unusual.
It's a lot of jumping for not a lot of money.
Exactly.
Well, a lot of money for the ones that won.
If you win it. To win it, you had to get through another very interesting line. Again, falls were spread, only 8 in the second round, but we lost most of the big contenders in the line that followed after the first line. The line with the triple combination, the Oxer Liverpool, and the single standing Oxer. It was not really...
it was more the combination, wasn't it?
Single standing, yeah. Let's bring up first, who is it? It's Willem Greve, and it is Martin Fuchs.
I think, like Cameron said earlier, I think he just ended up a little bit too deep, but you don't want to be coming flying in on a big, long distance into with the double of verticals coming at you.
Yeah. Probably was his plan to come in a little close and get the horse up in the air for the 2 verticals coming out.
This is Greve.
then a bit.
For him, it's just the opposite.
Exactly.
Yeah, he just had a little bit too much forward, a little bit maybe too big.
Yeah.
My question, you barely see any mistakes in a Rolex triple combination. Have you noticed that? Very often, because there is that huge Rolex board underneath the first part. If they use that board,
Yeah.
could it be that Fuchs thought, wait a minute, with that board, I cannot have it down, so I can be deep because it's vertical next. And could it be that Gran Dorado thought, oh, what's with that board? Hypothetical, maybe I'm completely off. Or am I again trying to think too much what the horse thinks? And you're going to tell me you don't know what the horse thinks? But do you wanna follow my?
Yeah,
reasoning?
I can understand it. Coming around that turn again, you're coming around the waters there. The horse is already coming off that water. There's a lot of stuff going on. Sometimes when you come into those big jumps, you've got what you've got. You know, Willem came round, and I think he ended up a little bit too far away.
Yeah.
Simple.
I think
I love the way you're thinking, but I'm not sure you're on the right track. And then Martin, I think that was probably his plan. Like you said.
I think it was. I would say, like, it looked like Martin rode it very well. The lightest of touches,
Yeah.
it was kind of unlucky. I think Willem, you could see a bit from his body language as he was getting there. He was trying to ride it. He wasn't getting there the way he wanted to. Where Martin probably did get there pretty much how he wanted to. So, but Willem, he still had to push.
We'll ask Gran Dorado. And
Yeah.
see, maybe he has a.
Stop laughing with me. Over the last year, Cameron, we've paid a lot of attention to Greya. And now we did it especially because she was in Aachen and she is one of the big favorites also for the world title. She's going to have a fault on the oxer that comes next, the Liverpool oxer. When you walked this line, I know it's slightly up the hill. How did you walk it? There is a mini bend in it.
Yeah.
But what was your idea when you walked it?
Smooth 8, really. Just you could keep coming a little bit up the hill on the 8, I would say. A little bit coming on it. Lightest of touches. You see it there. I mean, such a light.
But the coming on it, if we can just play that clip again of Greya. So what you're actually saying is you had to be a little bit active. Look at how Kent rides it.
Yeah.
Am I wrong in saying that he rides and then he almost has to hold? My point is how easy that she covers that ground.
Yeah.
It's so difficult for me. It was always difficult for me to judge her stride, but the stride is huge, actually.
Just watching her there over the weekend, she's such an incredible athlete. She's so light on her feet. She's not very, big or imposing physically like that, but she's such an athlete and she covers really a lot of ground. Like, she's a massive stride.
Modern sport. She covers a lot of ground and she's got a quick step. You know, she's got the full.
She's not a hackney. Eh? She's a flat mover and a fast mover. Yeah.
But I would say on that line, looking at it a few times, it nearly ended up too nice.
Yeah.
You know, it probably could have done with a little bit more.
You would think a little bit more hand at the end.
Yeah, a little bit more just to set her back in the end.
Yeah. Another man that got folded in that line is Daniel Deusser, who after a great campaign at the World Cup finals actually rode another great run out there in Aachen.
Yeah, this was...
Could he have done anything better?
Jump clear.
Yeah.
But this was a little bit of cheap rail. You know, the horse kind of does a half, maybe he's a bit big, does a little half kick back, and just nicks it with a toe.
Probably just slightly further away than he would have liked to be. You can get away with that as well. He had good pace, good rhythm and everything, so you'd imagine he'd be okay. But I'd say, if you asked him, I'd say he felt he was a little bit further away than he would like to have been.
That's how the horse jumped a little bit with that little flick back, just maybe.
So we saw 8s and 8s. Some did 8 and 7.
Yeah.
Very rarely to that oxer that Daniel had down.
Yeah.
Again, Vogel with all his alternatives. This is what he does. Deep to the oxer, athletic to the triple. Almost as if he's hunting in Ireland on a 7.
With no pressure at all.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
And always in form, always in connection, and always with shape.
And that's it. Like, when he had to move for the 7 after the triple combination, and we're picking holes in the other riders here and there. Maybe they could have done this, maybe they could have done that. But there as well, I mean, he had to open, he had to really commit on the 7 strides, but the horse just popped it, so that's the difference as well. It's not about being perfect. It's about having that relationship with your horse. Around a course like that, the course builder is going to challenge you. Everything is not going to be perfect. You're going to be a little closer sometimes, you're going to be a little further away sometimes. So it's up to the horse has to take has to help you out. You can do as much as you want as a rider and try to be helpful as you can. But in the end of the day, it's the amazing athletes that the horses are. It's the responsibility of jumping the fence is theirs in the end of the day.
But like that horse has got so much scope. It can help you out of most situations,
Sure.
And Richard, I think the best thing he does is just stays out of his way.
Yeah.
When he does get the long distance or the short distance, keeps his balance, keeps his cool, and lets the horse do his job. Just stays out of his way.
Okay, gentlemen, let's see who went through, because we had a good group of riders who were on clear after the first round. But once that second round was done, we only had 3 riders on double clear, 3 into the jump off. Sophie Hinners as first to go, then Richard Vogel. And as last, José María Larocca, who got that position from his very fast first round when he was the fastest in round 1. This episode is brought to you by Niels. He's not in the studio, but Niels Bruinseels and the Stallions present this episode of The Horse Show. Have a look on the website. The breeding season is still in full swing. There's a few very interesting horses, including direct offspring by Chaco Blue out of his top Grand Prix, Grand Slam Grand Prix winner, that is Gancia de Muse. And of course, there is also the 2025 BWP champion, that is Vogel United Touch Vodka van de Bisschop out of a heartbreaker mare. But there's a whole group of stallions, young, old and experienced. Have a look at the website of Niels Bruinseels Stallions. Not now, after the Horse Show. This is the break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Horse Show. This episode still brought to you by the NB Stallions, the Stallions of Niels Bruinseels. We are well over halfway. We've done most of the jumping already in Aachen. We're now into the jump off with 3. Was it ever a race? Was it ever a competition? Or was the winner known the moment that we started the jump off?
No. I think Sophie, we've seen her go so fast. She's got a fast horse. She's a really fast rider. Maybe the draw played a part. And Jose went in. I'm so amazed at what he's done.
Fantastic.
With his riding over the last 10 years to be in that position. And
where I want to go is, was there a horse that could beat United Touch?
Yeah, I think Sophie could have. I mean, I don't know if you agree with me or not. Okay, United Touch has got the stride, but Sophie's got massive foot speed, agility. I think she went in there. It looked like she didn't give everything. It looked like she was planning on the clear round, tried to put a bit of pressure on the riders to come. That's how it looked to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen her go a lot faster. So I think she was banking on the others making mistakes. Obviously, that was the wrong decision in the end. But it's Aachen. We've seen Aachen won on a triple clear before,
or worse.
But I think she could have gone faster, and I think she could have put more pressure on. I mean, she was 5 seconds slower than United Touch in the end.
Yeah.
No, I think that's okay to say it's faster. In a lot of other rings, it would be faster, definitely.
Yeah.
Maybe in Aachen he has the advantage.
Yeah. Okay. Let's bring up an interesting split screen with Sophie Hinners on the left, with Vogel in the middle, and with Larocca on the right. This is a stop at the second fence. Larocca is actually in front, but as we then move on, this is actually an interesting point, Joe.
So you can see here the distance. I mean, Vogel's just turned much shorter. You can see the distance between here and here of the two. Larocca was in front at the second, goes wider. Vogel stays a little bit more inside, and actually, what's that? 3 strides, I think.
Yeah.
And he just keeps that lead the whole way. You know, we've seen it before in the show. He's won it on that turn.
He's
kept
very
that lead.
quick after landing after number 2. Richie,
Yeah.
he moved away from the jump so quickly and was on the inside line there.
Yeah, and if you see when we play now, you see how much more risk he takes to this jump here. You know, he turns much shorter. Larocca gives a little bit more respect to that jump, takes a wider turn, and that's where he's got the lead.
Yeah, and from there on, he's gone and everything. The game is played. Sophie Hinners has jumped 9 m 60 classes with this horse recently. All clear of 4, nevermore, so super consistent. Last 4 Grand Prix, 5-star Grand Prix at meter 60, all clear. That's actually not a bad result to do that also in Aachen with Otto Becker watching. World Championships coming up, jumping triple clear again in Aachen. That's
Yeah, I think, okay, she obviously had a plan when she went into the jump off. I wasn't expecting this round.
No.
I was expecting her to attack. I mean, you're 3 in the jump off. You're anyway going to be
worst
third.
Case, you're third.
Worst case, you're third. I thought she was going to go in and let rip.
Is this the brain versus heart discussion that we also had? Mechelen World Cup. You go in. Are you playing it tactical or not? Are you calculating? And if you're calculating and you're doing it wrong, you lose it. It's a little bit like, she thought about it and probably made the wrong choice.
Well, it's always a challenge when you're first to go on the jump off. It's always a decision. What are you going to do? How hard are you going to go? Are you going to put the others under pressure? Clear round is the most important thing in the end of the day. I'd say if she was looking back at it again to go on to try to win that class, she would have probably gone a little bit faster. But it's very easy saying that sitting here on the side. When you're in there and you're doing it, she jumped 3 amazing rounds and the horse jumped absolutely fantastic all 3 rounds, and she was 3rd in the Grand Prix in Aachen. I'm sure she's pretty happy about it today now.
Yeah,
like, you know.
I think she'll be really happy today.
Yeah.
Do you think the teammate bonus thing came into the play there or into her head?
No.
No?
No.
She went in and rode her around.
If that Vogel is still to come, he's a teammate. If he wins, he's a Rolex Grand Slam challenger. There's an extra 500,000 there.
Extra 500,000 and another 1.5 because he's still the live challenger.
If he wins Bruce Meadows.
But I think Cameron's right.
Okay.
I mean, that's just a bit conspiracy theory stuff. I think Cameron's right. She went in, also with the championships coming up, she wants to go in and jump some solid rounds and
again,
impress.
Head over heart. Yeah.
I wasn't expecting to see that round. I was expecting to go in there and go, but hey, listen, she's still 3rd in Aachen.
Yeah,
that's massive.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Vogel. Here's a quiz question. What was the last competition that Richard Vogel jumped with United Touch before going to Aachen?
Trick question now, but was it Basel? No. Or World Cup? No, where was it? I don't know.
The only thing that he jumped before Aachen was Sertogenbosch.
Last time jump,
So that's, what is that? End of February?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's amazing. Yeah.
So you can talk about as we watch the round of Richie with United Touch. You can talk about ring mentality and ring rhythm and ring fitness. Apparently, he doesn't need it.
Well, no, I mean, for sure they've done a good job. Even though he's not been at shows, I'm sure they've been training and jumping. But apparently, I mean, Richard's been away in America a lot. Apparently the groom rides...
Yeah, it's an amazing team, the whole setup, like between Sophie, Richie and David Will, and then obviously the groom takes amazing care of this horse and works the horse so well. I think as a team they function incredibly well, and that's what it takes. It's not Richie and United Touch are the ones that we get to see here on the big day, but there's a team behind that makes it all possible.
Yeah. Did you think he was going to put his hands up when he jumped this?
Definitely not.
No,
this time. Not this time.
Not anymore.
What I noticed there from number 1 to 2 in the jump off, you can see he was riding down to, he was a little bit on the inside line. And Richie saw he was going to maybe have to slow down, he didn't. He just moved out to the left so he could keep the canter. And that's how he was able to move away from number 2 so quickly, because he never had to slow down to the second fence. He just moved out, opened a little bit so he could keep that canter, and he landed after number 2 and was just gone on the other side. So quick, so clever.
Yeah, he just pulled a bit to the outside. He's already turning, actually.
Exactly. It was brilliant ride.
Does that well.
3 Aachen Grand Prix in a row, 3 times in the jump-off. Should have won it in 2024, should have won it in 2025, now he wins it. That's a different story. Is there anybody else who is a favorite for the world title in 77 days?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, the World Championships is a different thing because it's a full week of jumping. You know, there's going to be, you have a table seat the first day, then you have your 2 rounds of your team, you have another qualifier, and then you have your final on Sunday. So it's a lot of jumping. So anything can happen over the 5 rounds of jumping.
Just a question that popped in his head. What classes did he do? Because he was pre-qualified.
Yeah, he jumped 1 small class.
1 small class.
Yeah.
So that's also a big difference this year, isn't it? That the horses... A lot of the horses just had a real good plan to go into the Grand Prix.
Jumped A Coruña European Championship, just the same thing.
Sure.
So it's incredible how that horse feels comfortable in that arena.
Yeah.
3 years in a row, always 3 times in the jump off. The consistency is just bizarre.
I think he's definitely the favourite going into it. He's definitely the favourite going in. But I mean, there's still a lot of good horses that made very small mistakes at this show. I mean, Greya is still, for me, one of my favourites as well, you know? Yeah. That was nothing of a mistake. Even Daniel, you know, again, small mistakes.
Okay.
Still
First
going to be
challenge is
challenging.
getting on the German team. That's the first
Well,
thing. That's such a strong team.
I want you to be you can be Otto Becker. and you don't get punished if you're wrong.
Yeah, well, we've seen 2 that I think will definitely be on the team, the 2 that were in the jump off there. But after that, it's a difficult call, isn't it?
Timo just won Hamburg. Daniel was also very close. Eining is also jumping really good and just coming back with Coolio.
Yeah.
There is still Kukuk. There is Hansi Dreer. Who am I missing? There is Alman. There is Deuse.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Team is a horse jump fantastic here as well. You know, former European champion, had a foot in the water and jumped really
amazing
well,
last week as well, Hamburg. I think the German teams, it's a luxury problem. Yeah. But you can nearly pick 2 teams, you know? Yeah. There's nearly 2 teams to go with there.
Agreed.
Yeah. Luxury problems for the Germans.
Okay, let's bring up the last round. That is the round of José María Larocca, the Argentinian, with Finlente. What surprised me the most about this round, Richard Vogel was in the lead, the dreamed favorite by 35,000 people there in the Zurs, and they went wild when he came in. They have so much respect for this man, for any rider, but especially for this man.
Yeah.
Also here, when he jumped the combination, he got a little bit stuck. Yeah. The whole stadium clicked for Finlente to jump out of that combination. The support that he got was remarkable.
And then he really committed to that 6 strides. It's normally a 7 strides to the Oxford after the double, and he was down. You don't see that when you jump out. You have to believe it's there. You push and you just hope you're going to get there. Horse was with him 100%. It was fantastic to see.
Yeah, like I said earlier, what this man's done in the last 10 years with his riding and making everything work, and then being here in Aachen, incredible.
Yeah,
incredible. He's done a great job.
Okay. Talking about this man doing a great job, he is here with us. Let's bring him up. Number 2 in the Rolex Grand Slam Grand Prix of Aachen. Welcome to the Horse Show, José María Larocca.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It is our pleasure. If I understand it right, you are not in Europe anymore. Where do we find you?
I'm in Uruguay this morning. I'm very fortunate to as you know, I come from South America and I come regularly down here. I have some business, some interest, and a lot of family. So I'm here, let's say, every other month. So I was already scheduled to fly last night after the end of the show in Aachen, and here I am enjoying beautiful South America.
Because second place in Aachen should be celebrated as a victory in Aachen. How did you celebrate it?
Well, I was together with my son, of course, so we celebrated, we hugged, and we were very emotional about it. And then, okay, I had to run and get on the plane. For me, this is, of course, for me, this is my biggest achievement, I would probably say, in the sport. I have some other things that I hold very dearly. But okay, I was already scheduled to leave, and I'm going to be back in Europe at the end of the week, towards the weekend, and I'm going to be able to celebrate there together with my family. But, I was enjoying it myself in any case on the way on the plane. It was difficult for me to get much sleep.
I can imagine.
I was really.
It was a brilliant
Yes.
performance, and we saw the 3 clear rounds. However, the day didn't start as planned for you. You didn't have the perfect preparation going into Grand Prix Day in Aachen. What happened? And most of all, how did you solve it?
So that morning there was a 150 class that started at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I was going reasonably well with quite a new horse, a horse I have not had for a long time, a beautiful horse with a very nice mind, and I was a little bit perhaps overconfident about the way I was riding, and I turned around for the fence just before the last one without looking at the fence, and the horse stopped and I fell. I was a little bit shaken by that. No fault of my horse. It was 100% mine. And that happens sometimes to some riders like me when you get a little bit, I wouldn't call it arrogant, but overconfident perhaps. And what I do, which as you know me a little bit, I like to run a little bit. After the fall, I went for a run in Aachen, which is it has beautiful hills and it's a very nice place to run around. I usually go running around there every day during the show. And I think that helped me a lot to settle a little bit my mind and to refocus. So yes, it was very, 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 very useful for me, very helpful, if you can say.
That's already interesting on its own. Joe, you're also a very fit person. You take care of your physical fitness, also of your mental fitness. Can you relate to the impact of, not to the impact of falling, to the impact of running on and physical activity on settling your brain?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you say, I think the way you put it there, it just resets, just makes you a little bit meditate. You go certainly when you're running. I don't run anymore, but I used to do a lot of running, and it puts you into kind of meditation state. Once you get into it, you relax, all your troubles disappear, and also you feel great when you're finished. It gives you that buzz. So yeah, it definitely helps your confidence.
José María, you going into Aachen, you just won the Grand Prix of Bourg-en-Bresse, 4-star Grand Prix on sand. Now, everybody comes to Aachen with ambition. Everybody wants to win the Aachen Grand Prix. And there's a huge discrepancy between ambition and realism and reality, with what realistic view and ambition did you come to Aachen? What was your ambition for that Grand Prix?
My ambition is the same as every other rider. Perhaps I'm not rated very highly in terms of chances of winning it. My ambitions are exactly the same. And I'm probably as hungry as everybody else or anybody else. Perhaps I was not rated very highly. I have had quite a reasonably good season, and I'm very fortunate to have a horse that is exceptionally good. So, I would say I already have some good results in the past with him. So I always dreamed of winning this Grand Prix, like we all do. And of course, I come with that ambition in mind, without a doubt. Now, my probability is high. Probably you would say no, but it doesn't mean that I don't want to get there and I don't fight for it as much as I possibly can, yes?
And just to be clear, there's rating, and that's one thing, and rating rises the more you compete and the more you perform. You're not somebody that we see every week at 5-star level. That's also why ratings don't really follow up. You have been on a fantastic run with that horse, say, the last 2 years and a half. I mean, you won Brussels 2 years ago, jumped clear in the Nations Cup there as well. So you are on an incredible run. That horse actually has been in Aachen 6 times now.
My horse has been in Aachen 6 times. Okay, interesting to know. Okay.
Do you feel that horse still developing? Because it's the best he ever performed. It's also a very important year for you, for him, in Aachen. Do you feel him growing through those? Did you see him growing through those 6 years or those 6 times competing?
I would say that has he grown? The answer is, yeah, I mean, he's always been exceptional. I would say that this year he's very fit. We started the year slow at the Sunshine Tour, and then it was a little bit difficult at the beginning of the first month until he got back into competition rhythm. So I would say he's always been more steady as an athlete than I have. So I would say that our performances are more dependent on me because he's always ready to give it all and always exceptional. So I would say that I have perhaps I had a good weekend this weekend, and that helped him be able to perform, to show his abilities. I would say a little bit that I'm not as precise as many riders are, but I was a little bit better than I normally am. So, and there he has the ability to show his capacity. Let's put it this way. That has always been there.
I mean, he's an amazing horse, and I know I've watched your career over the last sort of 10 years really develop, and certainly with this horse, do you think he's part of the formula that's really put you onto the big level, winning those big classes?
Yeah, I mean, he's exceptional from every standpoint, I would say. For me, the one thing that has helped me a lot, I would say, is my riding has been better. And the one person that has helped me a lot, I want to mention him, but he has made a big difference, is a person I think you know very well, Philippe Illinois. He's the one that has made a big change in my riding and has supported me all along over the last few years. I think this has been the biggest change in my riding career, and the thing that has helped me the most.
Philippe van Lanwatte, I believe, who also trains Gudrun Patate, and of course was the wingman of the late Jean-Claude van Geenbergen van Lanwatte, who has a fantastic base in training and giving riders a foundation. Very American riding as well. It is a championship year, and it's happening in Aachen, should you not know it. What can we expect from you and from the Argentinian team? What is brewing? Can you give us some insights? Who's going? What's happening? Which riders and horses should we keep an eye on from now until Aachen, the World Championships?
Okay, I would say that, I mentioned Philippe helped me a lot. The other person that helped me a lot is always there to support me. I was there this weekend, and he's doing very well, is my son. He helps me a lot. He is going to be, I think, part of the team. He has a very nice horse that he gets along very well with, and I'm quite confident that almost likely he will be part of the team for Aachen. And then there is Ignacio Maurin, who is normally based in Mexico. I mean, he's in Europe at the moment. And there's a fourth rider that's coming also from Mexico. His name is Juan Piduti, and he's arriving next week to Europe. We'll be doing a couple of Nations Cups together before the championship starts. And we always have the same technical manager, chef d'équipe, whose name maybe you know, is Victor Teixeira. He's Brazilian. He's been supporting our team and doing an exceptional job, I think, for many years now.
That seems to be the team. How much do you still have to do for yourself? Apparently, you've got Finlente in fantastic form. What do you want to do next in those last 2.5 months before Aachen?
So I will probably do 1, maximum 2 big shows. It's possible that we go to Falsterbo. It's possible, and then maybe we go to Riesenbeck, not to the global, but there's a 3-star also on grass. So we have to finalize our plan, but those are the basis of what we will be doing. The horse is plenty experienced. He does what he needs more than anything, I would say, is to keep himself fit, and I would say his mind fresh. This is something that Philip always emphasizes. Take your horses for a hack as often as you can. If you can every day, but at least 2, 3, 4 times. And this is something I believe that helps a lot keep the horses motivation and freshness, head freshness, I would say.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you very much, José María Larocca, for taking the time. I guess it's early in Uruguay at the moment?
Yeah, not that early. It is 1:30.
Oh, 1:30. Okay, then I have less compassion. No, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. Congratulations. It was a massive performance. We enjoyed it. To be fair, and that surprised me a lot when you challenged Richard Vogel. Also, a lot of German fans appreciated your rounds already in round 1, round 2, and in the jump-off. It was a very beautiful afternoon that you've given us.
Yeah, I thought it was an amazing performance. Really well ridden, perfect.
Fantastic.
Look, thank you. Just one last word. The people we have to thank the most for this exceptional show is, without a doubt, the public. Is so exceptional in this place, and I just want to mention them, because without them we would not have much of a show. I think Richie said it yesterday in the press conference, and it's one thing that makes Aachen so different from every other place in every other show in the world. So thank you very much for having me today, Frederik, Cameron. Thank you very much.
It was our pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
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 Keep your horses as happy and as fresh. I think we started this episode, and very early you mentioned already, it is about partnership. It is about wanting to fight for one another. Sometimes the horse has to help you, and then at that point you need that mental freshness.
Yeah, I think it's like people in the same respect. If you're happy in your job, if you're enjoying what you're doing, you're going to do a better job. It's the same with horses. If they're enjoying what they're doing and they're happy, they're going to perform better. So,
are you enjoying what you're doing right now?
Oh, yeah, I like it. It's good.
I've got bad news, because the show is almost over. We have to look forward already to what is coming up this week on Clip My Horse. No 5-star shows on Clip My Horse, but lots of 4-star show jumping. You can head over to Cabourg in France, and normally there is a 4-star show. Grand Prix is on Sunday. In T-Bird, Thunderbird in Vancouver Langley, that's all the way on that is the West Coast. There is a Nations Cup on Sunday, and there is also the DKB Vedwoch, the Horse Week by the, what is it? I think it's the North Sea. It's not really so much close to Hamburg, but it's close to the North Sea in Germany, and lots of top German riders are heading out to that 4-star show as well. That's what's coming up this week. Joe, anything in particular that we should know about you that is going to happen for you this week? Is there an official international comeback?
You knew that already, didn't
No,
you?
I don't.
Yeah.
But did I?
Yeah. I'm doing Bonheiden this week.
And is there a live stream?
No, that's why I chose Bonheiden. That's exactly why I chose it.
Yeah.
No live stream.
Okay.
That's the first thing I look for. Look for a show, no live stream. Yes, I'm going.
Yeah. Okay.
No one can travel.
Good luck with that. I'm not coming out with the banner.
Okay. Good.
Or unless you want me to.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
I'll be there.
Okay.
Cameron, anything for you training-wise? Of course, you are, amongst many, the trainer of Anastasia Nielsen.
Yeah.
She's back fighting after a serious injury, back in the saddle, competed in Aachen as well in the middle tour. Is there a plan with her this weekend, or what are you up to?
Yeah, I go up to her stable in Switzerland tomorrow. I'm going to jump the horses, and we're going to go to Kessel.
Kessel.
Kessel this week, the show from Hendricks. So we're really looking forward to that 3-star show. And also Maria Madanova, who rides for Anastasia with the younger horses, she's doing the 1-star, and my daughter's also doing the 1-star there. So we're going to have a busy week this week, and really looking forward to it.
With Frozen Pleasure.
Exactly, a horse. My daughter's riding a horse that came from Joe, really nice. Really
Came
nice.
from Zangerside.
From Zangerside, sorry,
Joe,
through Joe.
Through
Zangerside, so...
Well done. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching this episode. Once more, thank you to Cameron Hanley and to Joe Lee, and to you as well. Aachen was brilliant, but the best is yet to come. A next episode comes up next week, and it's not going to be only about sport. We're going to touch on a very interesting subject. What it's going to be? Check it next week on The Horse Show. Bye-bye.